Hey guys, BB the Boss here, and today I'm going to be reading fan fiction. Yeah, I know. Hopefully someone doesn't sue me. No one sues me. Please don't sue me. I'm not making any money. Okay, well, let's see. What should we do? uh, Dudley's daughter? No thanks. I don't like after the war stories. Huh. Ooh, maybe. No. Huh. Draco. Draco No. Malfoy. Okay, let's see. Eighth year, no thanks. What? A ferret named Draco? Who might that be? Draco Malfoy. He is so annoying. Yeah, no. Let's see. First year. Ooh. Now sees. Alice, star of two stars. Now. Ooh! Live together, die alone? That sounds interesting. Maybe though. Oh, the sequel to The Daughter He Never Wanted. I love that one, The Daughter He Never Wanted. You should read that though. Ham. I am Dolores Umbridge. No, I'm not Dolores Umbridge. Please don't leave. Ooh, guess who I am though? I am. Ooh, them, and me. Even though I'm a blue unicorn, not a pink unicorn. I hate pink. Sorry, guys. Okay. Let's see. Harry's fist clenched around the burnt photograph, the moving image edging slowly away from the cindering corners of the frame as Harry's tears fell onto the paper, hissing as they made contact with the scalding surface. The scene of destruction that surrounded him was the only remnant of the fierce battle that had taken place hours prior. Fires still flaming sporadically throughout the walls of the burrow. Broken furniture, shattered glass, and smoking walls were all that remained of the house that had sheltered more than the broken boy from the cupboard. It was a place where he learned unconditional love, and that family can be chosen in the ones we care most for, becoming more of a home than number 4 Privet Drive ever threatened to be. Harry placed down the waving photograph of the Weasley family, who seemed blissfully ignorant of the horrors that the war had brought upon them. The youthful face of teenage Ginny Weasley smiled abashedly up at the raven-haired boy before hiding behind her mother, cheeks tinged red in the stained photograph. A flicker of a smile brushed Harry's face before he remembered that day from several years ago, his 15th birthday, celebrated within the very walls of the building he currently stood in. A golden snitch flickered feebly in and out of view, exhausted after several family rounds of Quidditch played out in the meadow in the grounds, and a black-haired dog sniffed the feet of party dwellers, only stopping to jump and lick a laughing Harry. It seemed so daunting now that they had not known what the future held in store for the Chosen One, and how their lives would warp from that day onwards. Harry reluctantly tore his eyes away from the past and focused on the charred evidence of the present. The couch was upturned, holes burned in the upholstery that functioned as a shield during those fierce hours of battle. Ron's beloved chess set was scattered on the floor, pawns crumbled into 1,000 shards, and a solitary king shouted abuse from underneath the table in the corner, apparently unharmed in the carnage. The game that had been suspended so unceremoniously mid-battle earlier in the day hung as a cruel reminder of the move that Voldemort had played. Check and mate. A clock's edge could be seen emerging from underneath the sofa, all hands of the clock stationary and unmoving. Harry functioned on autopilot as he reached down and grabbed the contraption that had fascinated him ever since he was a mere child. Absorbing the wonders of the burrow for the first time after being rescued by the Weasley children from his prison, he blew away the dust that had settled, revealing 10 hands that lay beneath the mess. Harry remembered bursting with pride the day Molly presented him with his 17th birthday present, a metal hand of a clock with a smiling and waving portrait at the edge. His eyes narrowed with sadness as he located the hands on the clock, his solitary position declaring his location as home, contrasted with the other 9 faces, mingled as the magic of the clock tried to single out each hand on its own. Dead. They were all gone, and it was Harry's fault. He'd gotten them into this mess. He was the reason that the burrow was targeted, and the cause of all the death and destruction that seemed to follow. Harry James Potter, no matter where he went. He was but 19 years of age, yet his eyes had the sadness of an old man as he closed them shut slowly, considering all those he had lost in the short years of his life. His parents had made the ultimate sacrifice to give him a chance to live, yet he had wasted that opportunity. There was so much he could have done, so much he could have changed, if he had just started preparing sooner. Tears began to escape unwillingly from the corners of his eyes as he pictured the last images of his godfather. The ghost of his last laugh etched into his memory as he fell backwards, almost gracefully into the veil. His one chance of freedom wasted, as Harry ran so carelessly and hot-headedly into a battle he was ill-prepared to face. The countless blurred names of all those who had sacrificed their lives in the last year since Harry had left Hogwarts merged into a mess inside his head. Voices, screams, and shouts became louder and unbearable until Harry sunk to his knees and held his aching head in his hands. He knew it had been a mistake to return to the burrow for his 19th birthday. He was being tracked, and his every movement was sought after by the Death Eaters, desperate to grant their lord's wishes and to deliver the boy to him to meet his just end. Little did Voldemort realize that the loss of those he held dear tore him up inside more than death ever could. The weight of the world and the blame of 100 deaths tore him apart each and every day. Immediately upon his return to the decaying building, he passed through several layers of wards, lowered slightly from the day to allow for new individuals to enter, those who had not been present for well over 2 years. The once filled-out face of Molly Weasley looked gaunt and sick upon first inspection. The toils and toll of war cleared in her physique, which had become skeletal over the course of their absence. Her greeting hug was more bone-crushing than normal, the obvious jaunting of their bodies clashing painfully against one another. Arthur reached around his jittery wife, who had begun to fuss over her youngest son, and Tut over his lack of eating habits, apparently oblivious to her own fierce loss of appetite. Harry grabbed the hand of his surrogate father firmly, trying to pass over the feelings of sorrow in his touch. Arthur's eyes glistened sadly in understanding. He had lived through the First War and knew the sacrifices that had to be made in order to defeat the enemy, despite wishing his 2 youngest sons and their Muggle-born friend could stay under his wing once more. "Welcome home, son," Arthur mumbled into Harry's ear as he briefly pushed him in for a hug, patting the tall boy on the shoulder. "Molly's been waiting years to bake you a cake again. You should see the feast she's laid out today," Arthur whispered. "She's been locked in that kitchen all week. You'd think Lockhart was coming for tea." Harry chuckled in mirth, happy to know that he'd given the matron, whatever, something positive to focus on in the light of the darkness that was suffocating them. "She knows the way to my heart with that fantastic treacle tart of hers." Harry looked on past the Weasley elders, glimpsing at the lopsided levels and the angry gnomes stumbling their way back onto the property. If Harry closed his eyes, it was almost as if nothing had changed. Yet Harry knew there was one person he yearned to see, whose presence was the deciding factor in his agreement to visit today after his harsh refusal at Hermione's initial suggestion. He shoved his hands into his pockets and made his way toward the door, leaving behind his 2 friends chattering eagerly to Molly and Arthur about the current state of affairs in the wizarding world. Information often became lost in translation with the limited degree of contact they were able to establish whilst on the run. On the run. We were on the run. sorry. Harry was all he heard through the Wait, he smelled her before he saw her. The waft of perfumed flowers drifted delectably into his nose, a smell he thought he would never experience again. And there she was, the epitome of everything he had ever desired, brown eyes burning into green with such a fierce smoldering of love that Harry nearly stepped backwards to regain himself. Ginny slowly rose from her chair at the table, leaving behind the napkin she was crafting into a lily. She flew at him faster than Harry was prepared for, and they both stumbled backwards as Harry's face burrowed into her red hair. Harry was all he heard through the muffled sobbing in his shoulder as he embraced her tighter and lowered them both onto the couch. Despite the years of turmoil and obstacles, they had stuck together through thick and thin. Although despite letters and broken conversations through a creaky, modified wireless radio, nothing compared to the physical contact they had so long craved. A watery face lifted from his neck, and cold fingers began to trace the sharp jawline that so yearned for this contact. Harry reached his hand up and tangled it into Ginny's flowing locks, holding on to this moment like it was the last one he was ever going to get. As their lips touched, warm nostalgia flooded into Harry like blood through his veins. Every sensation heightened as he took in the feel of his girlfriend once again. They sprung apart as they heard the front door flash opening. Ron bubbled and he headed straight for the table. Mom, you don't know how long I've been waiting for this, he exclaimed, slamming into his old place at the table. Ronald, don't be so rude. There's only an hour until dinner. Don't spoil your appetite. Hermione reprimanded from the doorway as she stepped onto the threshold, yet the small smile on her lips gave away her amusement at the situation. Ginny smiled and ran into the arms of her remaining sibling, her joy at being reunited evident on her face. Her other brothers had already perished the year before protecting Diagon Alley from an insurgent magical beast attacks. The twins' shop was torn apart as they sheltered the innocent shoppers from harm. Charlie burned to a crisp, tackling a fierce Norwegian ridgeback that was flaming the town from above. Bill spent his last moments fighting side by side with his goblin colleagues, a pact of trust against the dark forces that had taken years to forge. It felt so unreal for them all to be back, such a sense of normality in a time complete and utter confusion. Despite searching for 2 years, one Horcrux remained, the location of the last piece of the puzzle of Voldemort's mortality lay hidden and out of reach, despite the efforts of the 3 teens and Hermione's ruthless researching skills. The day they shared was one of laughter, a momentary relief from the war, and a reminder of what Harry was fighting for, and what he had left to live for. His hands remained wrapped around Ginny's until that fateful moment. Check, Hermione declared smugly, arms crossed and a look of satisfaction upon her face. Ron scowled at the board before looking up to his girlfriend with a look of mirth on his face, at her with premature celebrations, believing she finally had the upper hand on her boyfriend, who continually remained more skilled than her at the game. Ron shouted instructions to his remaining knight, who dutifully obeyed his orders, hopping over 2 pawns in the process. Checkmate. The word died on Ron's lips as a shrieking wail pierced the darkening walls of the burrow. Cups fell from Molly and Arthur's hands as they leapt to their feet, one springing into their hands as the teenagers rose from their seats. They're here, his voice hoarse and cracked in fear. They must have known. Can you run? Harry quickly asked. It's me they want. If I go, it will distract them long enough for you to escape. Take Ginny and get yourself to Grimmauld Place. It has enough protections to keep you safe, and nobody can get in apart from us. We're the only ones left. Molly glanced nervously at her husband, her hands gripped tighter on her weapon. Don't be silly, Harry dear. We're going to stay right here where we are. I might be getting old, but I remember a trick or two with this old wand, the Weasley monarch replied. Honestly, Harry, we all knew it would come to this one day. You don't have to do this alone. Hermione smiled from across the room, a look of determination clear on her face, as she mentally went over spells she had learned that could be utilized in battle. Well, guys, it's getting close to the 15-minute mark, leaving you at a cliffhanger. Bye. This has been BB the Boss.